Red Redondo and the Train to Hell. Introduction: A moving death trap. Red Redondo had seen plenty of fights in his time, but few were as dangerous as a battle fought on a moving train. The rails were the lifeline of the West, carrying goods, gold, and passengers across the untamed frontier. And where there was gold, there were outlaws willing to kill for it. The Santa Fe Express was set to carry $50,000 in gold bullion across Arizona territory. Word was out that a gang planned to hit it hard, and the only lawmen assigned to protect it were either corrupt or cowards. Red wasn't one for trains, but when he heard an innocent U.S. Marshal had been taken hostage aboard that locomotive, he knew he couldn't ignore it. A moving train. A gang of killers. A lone gunfighter caught in the middle. This was going to be a hell of a ride. The story. The train whistled in the distance as Red rode toward the station at Silver Butte, his duster flapping in the wind. He had one chance to board that train before it left town, and from the way the nervous station master was looking around, trouble was already brewing. Red dismounted and approached the platform. That the Santa Fe Express? The station master nodded quickly. You'd best stay away from that one, mister. Word is, some bad men are after it. Red smirked. I'm after them. A few passengers were already boarding, but Red wasn't interested in them. He was looking for one man in particular, Marshal Josiah Grayson, a lawman with a reputation for honesty. The marshal had been assigned to guard the gold shipment, but something had gone wrong. Word around town was that he'd been overpowered, his own deputies had turned on him, and now the train was in outlaw hands before it even left the station. Red spotted a familiar face, a nervous young deputy standing near the train's rear car, looking around like a man with a secret. Red walked up, slow and steady. You look like a man carrying a load heavier than you can handle. The deputy jumped. I don't know what you mean. Red gripped the man's collar and pulled him close. Where's Grayson? The deputy gulped. They've got him tied up in the baggage car. But you don't wanna get involved, mister. The Black Canyon gang is running this train now. Red's jaw tightened. Not for long. The train whistle blew. Time to move. The takeover begins. As the train lurched forward, Red grabbed onto the side ladder, hoisting himself up onto the moving cars. The wind howled, the iron wheels clanked against the rails, and the landscape blurred past. He climbed onto the roof, belly low against the swaying train. Up ahead, he saw two armed men walking along the cars, members of the Black Canyon gang. Red didn't hesitate. He dropped down behind the first outlaw and slammed his gun barrel into the back of the man's skull. The bandit dropped without a sound. The second outlaw turned, too slow. Red drove a fist into his gut, then smashed him over the head with the butt of his Colt. 2 down. More to go. Rescuing the marshal. Red worked his way to the baggage car, where the gold was kept. He could hear voices inside. We kill the marshal when we hit the pass. Dump the body, take the gold, and ride. Red frowned. He didn't have time to waste. He kicked the door open, his gun already drawn. Blam. The first outlaw barely had time to turn before Red shot him dead. The second man reached for his weapon, too slow. Red's fist caught him across the jaw, sending him crashing into a pile of crates. Red turned and saw Marshal Grayson, tied to a chair, blood trickling from his temple. Damn, am I glad to see you, the marshal muttered as Red cut him loose. No time for thanks, Red said. How many of them? 6 left, Grayson grunted, rubbing his wrists. Including Jack Hollis. Red's face darkened. Jack Hollis. A killer, a bank robber, and the ruthless leader of the Black Canyon gang. And he was just up ahead in the passenger cars. Red handed the marshal a pistol. Then let's finish this. Gunfight in the passenger car. The train rocked violently as it sped along the desert rails, dust whipping against the windows. Red and Grayson moved forward, guns drawn, until they reached the first passenger car. Inside, 6 bandits held terrified passengers hostage, their rifles leveled. And at the center of it all was Jack Hollis, his hat low over his eyes, a grin stretching across his scarred face. Well, Hollis said, standing up. Looks like Red Redondo decided to join the party. Red's gun never wavered. I prefer parties where I ain't gotta shoot the host. Hollis chuckled. Boys! The outlaws raised their weapons. Red fired first. Boom! One outlaw spun backward, dead before he hit the ground. Grayson fired next, dropping another man. Bang! A bullet ripped past Red's arm. He didn't stop moving. He rolled behind a seat, took aim, and shot another outlaw clean through the chest. Passengers screamed and ducked as the train car became a battleground. 3 men left. Hollis cursed. Kill them, you idiots. One bandit charged forward. Red met him with a boot to the ribs, then pistol whipped him unconscious. The last 2 outlaws panicked, trying to reload too late. Grayson and Red fired at the same time. Crack! Crack! Both men dropped. The only one left standing was Jack Hollis. A final duel. Hollis grinned and stepped forward, revolver still holstered. I'll give you this, Redondo, he said. You sure as hell can shoot. Red stepped onto the open-air platform between the train cars, the wind whipping his coat. Drop the gun, Hollis. Hollis smirked. You and I both know that ain't happening. Slowly, he reached for his revolver. Red's fingers twitched over his own gun. The world slowed. Then, Hollis moved first. But Red was faster. Blam! Hollis froze, a bullet hole smoking in his chest. His gun never even cleared the holster. He staggered. Tried to say something. Then tumbled off the side of the train, disappearing into the desert below. It was over. Epilogue. Justice delivered. By the time the train pulled into the next station, the Black Canyon gang was dead or captured. Marshal Grayson shook Red's hand. I owe you my life. Red adjusted his hat. Just another day. As the crowd cheered, Red stepped off the train. He didn't wait for a reward. Didn't stay to hear the thanks. He just walked to his horse, mounted up, and rode into the sunset. Because trouble was always waiting in the next town. And Red Redondo was always ready.